Hello, world. Hello, world, and welcome to the Shannon Joy Show. We're broadcasting live from the Joy Virtual Studio right here in the beautiful Finger Lakes region of New York State. It is so good to be with all of you today. It is Monday, June 15th. Yes, it's my birthday. 49 years strong. Just one more year left before I'm officially over the hill. But yes, it is my birthday today. Thank you all for all of your birthday wishes. The live chat was already moving when I got in today, and you guys have been all so sweet. And yes, I told you last week, I'm gonna pull this up right here. We were talking about my hydrangeas. There it is, right in front of my face. That is my birthday hydrangea. It is right outside of my home. I have a ton of hydrangea bushes, and it blooms every single year on my birthday, like without missing a year. On June 15th, my little hydrangea blooms. And today, yes, it bloomed again. And it just makes me happy every morning. So thank you guys for your birthday wishes. Hey, Zen woman, great to see you on the live show, on the live chat right here on Rumble. Of course, we're live on Rumble, live on Twitter, Spreely TV, Roku TV, Apple TV, every podcast platform you can ever imagine. The SJ Show reaching upwards over 1 million eyes and ears every single month. And yes, it's the little show that could. Every day, the news is like a fire hose in our face, news, culture, and commentary, not left, not right, just the truth, straight up, no chaser. We are not partisan here on the Shannon Joy Show, not Democrat or Republican. There is a lot of critique to go around for both parties. And as we know, the uniparty is out of control in the United States of America. Bread and circuses, it was front and center at the White House as Donald Trump dropped about $60 million in taxpayer funds. And don't tell me it was privately funded. Okay, there's no such thing as privately funded when it comes to the Trump administration and his cronies, the pay for play, all of the insider trading, the sweetheart deals and the subsidies, all of the billionaires, the banksters, and the tech bros that put Donald Trump in office. There's no way that this thing was privately funded. And the only difference between me and President Trump on our birthdays is that I don't throw myself a $60 million party on the taxpayer dime. But that didn't stop President Trump, completely tone deaf to the agony of the American people as we are crushed under massive energy prices, water shortages. Every time we go to the grocery store, it is a gut punch for every American family. Inflation, as far as the eye can see, the American dream of home ownership being ripped away from our young people, our children, as everything crashes and burns. And it just reminds you of the Roman Empire, doesn't it? Panem and Circenses, that is, the bread and circuses. It's a real thing. And it just makes you think that we just might be in the end stages of the empire. Just ridiculous. So much to talk about regarding what went down at the White House yesterday. And we're going to get to some of that later in the program and throughout the week here in the Shannon Joy Show. But as you know, the broader theme of this show really is the coalition between the Democrats and the Republicans working together to essentially end the American dream in a variety of different ways. So we have bread and circuses in Washington, D.C., but a revolt from the bottom up in towns across the United States of America. And much of that revolt is centering around the build out of these insanely monstrous Manhattan-sized data centers, which, plays into the broad agenda of the techno-fascists and the medical fascists, the idea to control and surveil every American, get us on the digital currency, get us under the digital surveillance, slap us all with the digital ID, and lock us up in the digital 15-minute cities, right? We own nothing, they own everything, and we're certainly not happy. But there's a lot more going on with these data centers in terms of the environmental impact and also the human impact. We know that the mission is to obviously create these data centers so that they can process all of the data and use AI to control us. But there's also a larger agenda, a land grab agenda, with which Daniel Horowitz has uncovered and covered brilliantly on his program. But they are planning on building some of these data centers, and the human impact is absolutely unbelievable. And this is why I have very old and very good friends of the Shannon Joy Show, Tammy Clark and Kristen Megan Kelly. They were with us back in the dark days of COVID-19 lockdowns, doing amazing work, exposing the fallacy of masking, but also the damage that forced masking could do to the human body and the human system. They were on the front lines, and we're going to welcome them into the Joy Virtual Studio in the first segment of this show, because they have been on the front lines now in terms of data centers. So we have a lot to get to today on the show, a lot of headlines in the show notes of the Shannon Joy Show. We also have big guests coming up this week. We have Tiffany Cianci joining me tomorrow live in the Joy Virtual Studio. Sasha Latipova joining me on Thursday in the Joy Virtual Studio. And we just might get Brett Miller as well. So there's a lot going on this week. We're going to be talking about the COVID-19 reckoning. Is it happening? A lot to hear from when it comes to that with Sasha Latipova. And Tiffany Cianci, as you know, has been on the front lines in terms of the retirement accounts, 401ks, the financial collapse that is incoming. She's going to be with us tomorrow to talk about that, the pumps and the dumps. Elon Musk is now a trillionaire. What does that even mean? What is $1 trillion these days? They're just printing so much money as far as the eye can see that I don't even know what $1 trillion means anymore, but Elon has it and you don't. They're making it harder and harder for the American people to survive. And it's absolutely tragic. And this is why Donald Trump is shedding support among his MAGA base. I have a report here. His approval numbers are plummeting, not just with average Americans, but with his own base. And it's absolutely stunning. I have a video that I'm going to play for you this week of some of the MAGA supporters who are absolutely fear, anxiety. They're having panic attacks over the knowledge that the guy they thought was going to save them is actually playing for the other team and making things even worse. This is leading to some of the lowest approval numbers for any sitting president in the history of the United States of America. The only president to have lower numbers is Harry Truman, who is sitting at 22%. Donald Trump is sitting now at low 20s, low to mid 20s. And it's pretty astounding. So where is all of this going? Who knows? I'm white knuckled on this roller coaster along with all of you, trying to make sense of insane headlines every day. We're going to do the best that we can. And so, of course, keep it tuned here every day, Monday through Friday, right around 12 to 12:30 p.m. Eastern time is when we get started. We go for about 90 minutes. And as I mentioned, we're live on all of those platforms. So if you are watching right now, thank you for joining us today on the Shannon Joy Show, especially on Rumble. Please give this show a thumbs up right now and a like, and join the live chat with a comment. Love to see you guys on the live chat. For any of you watching on any of the other platforms like Twitter or YouTube or Facebook or Substack, I love having you guys on. Make sure that you give the show a like, a share, a retweet, a comment. That helps drive those algorithms, and it helps to grow the Shannon Joy Show organically, which is what we've been doing here for 13 years. Can you believe that? 13 years on the show since we launched the Shannon Joy Show, and we're still kicking, right? CJP Rumble, great to see you on the live chat. Clones, great to see you on the live chat. Bye-bye, great to see you as well. Gaelic Monkey, love seeing you on the Rumble live chat. We have Dino Fun. We have Mod Trend. Johnny Reb 1860. Great to see you. Back in the day, said Johnny Reb 1860. Teddy Roosevelt had a similar thing with boxing matches at the White House. Eric Trump apparently trying to rig some of the fights last night. He's getting in trouble for that, denying it. We have that in the stack of stuff to get to today. And I have a little history lesson on bread and circuses during the Roman Empire. And, it is always something that accompanies a weak and dying empire. Dino Fun, why did Harry Truman go so low? I have no idea. I have absolutely no idea. Okay, Gaelic Monkey, tell me how you really think on the live chat. It's just so bad. Hell's Bay, great to see you. Wishing everyone a great start of the week and a good morning. All right, well, let's get to this show. I cannot wait to get these two ladies in with me on the Shannon Joy Show. Longtime friends of the SJ Show and amazing warriors for liberty. It's been way too long, ladies. We have Tammy Clark with us and Kristen Megan Kelly. They are a dynamic duo. They were warriors on the front lines opposing the COVID-19 lockdowns, debunking the myth of 6 feet social distance and forced masking. They were there on the front lines warning people against the poison shots. They were right about so many things in that time. And Tammy, I think that you were on my show so long ago that it was before you even became a dynamic duo with Kristen Megan Kelly, which is insane. You were one of my very first guests, I would say in 2020, maybe early 2021, telling the truth about what was really going on. So I'm gonna give the audience your bios in a moment because I want to make sure that they know your bona fides and how experienced and knowledgeable you ladies are. But first, I just want to say hello and thank you to the both of you. Kristen, you and I were together in Kentucky just a couple weeks ago in support of Thomas Massey, and it was just such a blessing to meet you as well. So, girls, welcome to the program. I'm glad you're here.
Well, thank you and happy birthday. Mine was yesterday, so we're fellow Geminis.
Unbelievable. Yes. Unbelievable. So the hydrangea is for you too. It blooms for you as well. But you share a birthday with Donald Trump. So yeah, I don't know.
I feel like my birthday used to just get hijacked by Pride Month, and now it's just hijacked by everyone's like, happy birthday, Trump. And I'm like, and me.
My birthday too. My birthday too. Tammy, how are you doing, my friend?
I'm great. Thank you. It's been a little while since you and I have chatted, so it's great to be back with you and on your birthday. What a treat.
I know. Girls, I've been watching you from afar for many, many years. And every time I see you guys do something amazing, I'm like, oh my gosh, I got to get those girls on the show. And then the day gets away from me and then I don't do it. I know you guys are busy advocating. I'm busy advocating. I'm just so thankful that there are women like you out there on the front lines. And you guys have really picked up this data center issue is, to quote Daniel Horowitz, the one issue since the Tea Party that seems to be uniting all Americans, young, old, Black, white, male, female, Democrat, Republican. No one wants these data centers, and everyone is beginning to get very wary of what these data centers represent in terms of the surveillance state and also how they can impact not only our environment, but human bodies. And that's where you guys have the most expertise. So I want to just take a moment, guys, to make sure that you guys know just how knowledgeable Tammy and Kristen are in their fields. And when they speak, people listen up because they know what they're talking about. Tammy Clark is a highly credentialed health, safety, and compliance professional. She has over 20 years in the fields of industrial hygiene and occupational and environmental health and safety. She is a court-approved subject matter expert on the issue of environmental health, occupational health and safety, and regulatory compliance. She holds numerous government credentials through OSHA, EPA, and the DOT, and she's worked in many, many industries. Tammy gained global recognition as a federal whistleblower whose testimony in the U.S. Supreme Court case against the Biden administration and OSHA exposed and stopped the administration and agencies' overreach and abuse of power in an attempt to create a permanent COVID-19 standard and mandates on all U.S. businesses and employees. And that's just half of her bio, guys. This woman knows what she's talking about. Her ride or die, these ladies work together, is Kristen Megan Kelly, and she is equally credentialed. She is an exposure scientist and industrial hygienist with 24 years of experience in occupational and environment toxicology, specializing in human exposure pathways and real-world risk assessment. She's also been a leading voice, along with Tammy, against improper one-size-fits-all public health mandates, advocating for informed consent and individualized risk assessment. She's known as the loudmouth liberty enforcer alongside Tammy, and she continues to challenge industry and governmental narratives. She's committed to one mission: telling the truth about human environmental risk, no matter how inconvenient it is, and no matter which political party is in power. That's one of the things I love about you, Kristen. And so I know that took a little while, but I wanted to make sure that you guys were both properly represented, because you have done a lot of work. You have an enormous amount of expertise, and I really hope that we can learn from you guys today. So before we get started, how are you guys doing? What are you advocating for these days? What are you up to? We're going to get into the data center discussion, but I'm sure the audience would love an update on where you guys are at and what you're doing and how they can find you and also support you before we get started.
Well, the first thing I want to say is, when you read our short bios, notice it doesn't say anything about being funded by the CCP.
That's right.
That is the rumor going around, which is hilarious. But
Right.
we both are consultants in our own businesses, but I'm also a media contributor. So I do lots of media interviews on so many different topics. And as you know, from running into me down in Kentucky, I've known Thomas Massey for years. I've been probably one of his biggest grassroots donors. And I help with grassroots campaigns where people are just going to, uphold their oath and remember that their allegiance is to a constitution, not a person. So I do a lot. It's election time, so very busy. I mean, we have our hands still in some of the COVID fights, and there's just a lot. I don't even know where to begin. We're just constantly busy. I often forget what day it is.
I get it. Girls, I say it's like a fire hose in my face every day. The news cycle. It's totally a lot. Tammy, go ahead.
Yeah, no, Kristen and I are both very involved. We are both consultants, like she said. We own our own consulting businesses, so we are working with clients. I was up very early this morning, flew into Michigan from Florida yesterday.
Wow.
Got up very early this morning to do some trainings and meetings with clients, and then over to Kristen's house so that we could be in studio together to be with you. We're juggling, families and clients and our activism work. And of course, it's an election year. So we are both very much working on campaigns, not only in Michigan, but Florida, like Kristen was with Thomas Massey's campaign in Kentucky, and across the country with those critically important campaigns. So our voices we use our power for good, is what we say. Yep. So when people call us and ask us to be at their campaign events or whatever, we are very happy to do that, to help get these good conservative constitutional candidates elected. So we've got our hands full with just about everything we're juggling.
Well, no, I completely understand that. And I love that you guys continue those grassroots efforts and you continue to scour the country for those great candidates like Thomas Massey, who do what they say they're going to do, who honor their pledge to uphold the Constitution and basic freedom, basic liberty. And I love, one of my rules for resistance is always resist with a friend. I think that friendships, especially with women, as we are going into this arena, culturally, politically, it is a dog-eat-dog world out there. It can be vicious at times. And I love that your friendship brought you guys together and that you are such a powerhouse team together. I think it's a great thing. Let's start with the midterms and the politics, because not only are you guys incredibly versed in environmental impact and health impact of certain specifically the data centers, but in all areas. But you are also politically active. I'll start with you, Kristen. You were with me in Kentucky for the Tom Massey campaign. All said and done, close to $30 million, I think, when everything kind of came out, that was dumped into that tiny district to take him out. Unfortunately, the bad guys won. But what are you guys seeing on the ground? I mean, you're talking to candidates, you're talking to constituents, you're all over the nation. You are where the action is happening. What are people saying about the midterms, and what are they saying about what's happening in Washington, D.C., and their satisfaction with this presidency a year and a half into his administration?
Yeah, so I've actually been working in the liberty movement for just over 20 years. I actually was a contributor for InfoWars for many years.
Wow, I didn't know
I've
that.
had my hand in the whole behind the scenes. That's why I say, like, for example, the GOP, the Republican Party, doesn't have their pulse at all on the liberty voters, because there's a lot of libertarians and independents and disenfranchised Democrats that are more moderate in the middle, centrists, that just want somebody who will uphold their oath to the Constitution. That's why I warned. I had a post that went viral. Massey shared it. This was in January of 2025 when Trump started attacking him for the big, beautiful bill, which there's nothing beautiful about it, for single issue bills. Is I said, if you attack Massey and you take down Massey, you're done. That's political suicide. Because when people feel they don't belong anywhere, he's like the mascot of liberty.
Right.
And even if people say he's ineffective, everything was roadblocked by the establishment. But when they removed him, I said, that's it. These midterms are going to be handed to the Democrats, because it's not that people are going to vote Democrat. They're just not going to vote at all.
Right.
And that's what I'm seeing. But there are areas of the country where everyone still needs to get out. Like Jeremy Todd is the libertarian who was there. He was one that was holding the sign of Kentucky cannot be bought. He is now on the ballot as a libertarian in that District 4 in Kentucky. So if you are a listener or know someone in District 4 in Massey's district, Democrats, Republicans, you can vote however you want in the general. So vote for Jeremy Todd and stick it to, the foreign donors that stole that seat.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah, I don't want to get to that, because for the first time, the independent voters are the largest voting demographic. It is no longer the Republican Party versus the Democrats. It is now the independents, and the concern about the independents, like Republican and Democrat candidates cannot win without that independent vote anymore. That's just the reality. Yeah. And yet the Republican Party refuses to see that and understand that. And so they just keep doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results, which is so insane that I have really distanced myself a lot from the Republican Party. I just feel like they do not have their finger on the pulse of what is happening. They do not understand how the younger generations think. And so they're still approaching politics with the same old boomer mentality. Yeah. And it is just so off-putting to the younger generation, which is very concerning for me, because I don't think conservatives are going to win or Republicans are going to win in the midterms, because they are alienating the largest voting demographic. And now because they feel so betrayed by President Trump, who ran on certain things, certain principles, certain things he said he would do, then he turned around and he's not doing them, or things he said he wouldn't do, and now he is doing them. And those people, like the libertarians, the swing voters, the undecideds, they actually got engaged and they voted for him. And now they're just throwing their hands up like, we're out. They like Kristen said, they don't have a home. And so I do not have any hope, honestly, for conservatives, for Republicans winning in the midterms because of that. They're just statistically, they can't.
I just want to add one more thing. This is my prediction. Obviously, I know people in Congress and the Senate, and I'm not going to disclose names, but what I've been noticing is you look, excuse me, at how they just blocked the FISA extension. I think it was 19 Republicans.
Yes, it was.
As more and more primaries go through, and they're no longer worried about upsetting President Trump, and they're not having threats of being primaried, once they know they're safe because they're in a very red district, they're going to win their general. I actually think when the Democrats take control, you're going to have crossover support from Republicans. I think he's going to be impeached and he is going to be voted out. And that's hard to say. I did vote for him. I did not like the other side. No one's my savior, but I wanted to free my friend Ross. I wanted Doge, all the things that were very liberty leaning, because I'm a Ron Paul Republican. I have to make that clear. I'm not a Lindsey Graham Republican. But even then, it's still really hard, because my Obi-Wan Kenobi, my only hope was Representative Massey. And I know he's not done. We'll see. But I feel like Chicken Little. I've been saying this, and it's like Tammy and I always say, you can believe us then or remember us now today, because it's going to happen.
I don't think that you are wrong. And I think that the poll numbers are pretty astonishing. And I do have a piece here in the show notes of the Shannon Joy Show. Some of the lowest ratings approval in U.S. history on a variety of different topics. And this latest Circus sideshow on the front lawn of the White House in Washington, D.C. is just the latest in outrages. People are absolutely over this. And, I pushed this out yesterday. Libertarians against Trump pushed this out, and I commented. They wrote, "I can't stand Trump anymore at all. Not the policies, not the posts, not the rallies, not the lies, none of it. Every single day there's something new, and I'm exhausted. Is anyone else completely done with this guy?" And, I responded, I was done the day he came down the escalator. It's been a long decade, because I've been reporting on Trump for 13 years almost. I mean, since I launched my show, he came down the escalator about 2 years post, but he's been talking about running for president for many, many years. And it's amazing to think that this psyop has gone on for so long. And, but what was so interesting to me, and I'm not going to go through all of these today, I'll go through them tomorrow on the show, and I have some videos as well, are the number of Trump supporters, people who have been supporters of Trump, not just through the first administration, but also through the second. And they are out. And to your point, I do think that this coalition, I'm very interested in the Massey Ro Khanna coalition. That was the coalition actually that blocked the FISA approval. And it's the coalition that forced the president and the Republicans to release some of the Epstein files. They have not even been fully released, but the ones that have been released, that was also a result of the Thomas Massey Ro Khanna alliance. Again, it is independent leaning Democrats and Republicans working together, who apparently believe in the Constitution still and believe in common sense, that are getting these things done. And I see that as being a very interesting coalition to watch moving forward. Your thoughts on that?
Well, I'm never going to bash things that are bipartisan, because if you're really supposed to go there and honor the Constitution, I don't know why we disagree on so many things.
Right.
I appreciate the work of Ro Khanna with the transparency, the Epstein Files Transparency Act. I appreciate that. But 85% of his other views are absolutely not aligned with the Constitution.
Right.
So I'm about building coalitions, but he's not as beautifully constitutional as you think he is.
I'm sure. Oh, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that coalition. Right.
Ron Paul had Dennis Kucinich, and he truly was a constitutionalist on the Democrat side. So I'm all for this. But I think, though, we'll get into the data center fight. That's where we are like, we go when we talk places, and there's people still wearing masks. And I know they're probably like, we hated these women, and now they're listening to us. So we have people who disagree on everything else, but they're working together, knocking doors, recalling people. So the most unifying fight in this country right now is the whole data center, solar farm, and battery plant fight.
Okay.
So I think, though, more people have woken up to the purposeful divide that has been pushed, and even the social issues. Like, listen, I'm very freedom-minded. Do you just don't harm me and my property? But I just even went into Target the other day. I had to trying to find a special kind of cottage cheese. They're the only one that had it. And there was none of the pride display. It was all America's 250th birthday.
Love it.
And apparently it's online. So these businesses are starting to realize too that people are really voting with their dollars. And when you're kind of meeting in the middle and not shoving everything in everybody's faces on either side. And that's the thing I liked about Massey, and I still do. And a lot of other candidates I've endorsed is that if they win their seats, they're going to represent people in their district that are not members of their party. And that doesn't mean that you still don't hear their concerns.
Right.
So it's very important that we just stop, it's not as divisive as I think CNN and Fox want us to be.
Absolutely. But that's the point. I think that maybe here in the United States of America, we can begin to realize that we don't have to agree politically with people on everything. We don't have to agree culturally with people on everything. We can agree on a certain set of values and principles, limiting principles applied to the federal government, principles that were laid out in our Constitution, in the Bill of Rights, in the Declaration of Independence. Like those are still universally accepted and universally appreciated by every type of American, right? Both political parties. Yet we've gotten so far from that because we've been divided by these polarizing issues, polarizing candidates, and I think culminating with Donald Trump, who has been the most polarizing candidate, I think, in United States of America history. I mean, this has been quite an extraordinary decade to observe and commentate on politics. But I agree with you on the data center issue. And I do believe that this could be where, and as I mentioned, Daniel Horowitz said this could be bigger than the Tea Party movement. Only difference is this is everyone. These are Democrats and Republicans, as you mentioned, people still wearing masks who really didn't like you girls during the COVID era when they were fighting to keep their masks on and you were telling them, well, masks don't work and they actually harm you more than help you, which is, amazing information. So I definitely agree with you guys that that's where this is going. And I'm here for it. I'm here for the age of the independent. I am here for an emancipation from the two-party political circus, the uniparty that has been dominating politics for the past 50 years. And I think that you guys are on the front line of that. So we're going to go to break, but I want to get your last and final thoughts on the politics of the day, on where we are with COVID-19. I know that you guys were advocates to end the lockdowns, to stop the shots. We just had a terrifying headline that, Bobby Kennedy Jr., CDC, is now poised to hand over $1.24 billion to Pfizer to create a new round of COVID shots for babies and adults. That just hit the headlines last week. Jeffrey Tucker pushed that out. He found the documentation. In the second segment, we'll go heavy at the data centers, but I just wanted to give you guys an opportunity to, wrap up your thoughts on the electoral aspect of this, and also comment on what you think about where we are in terms of a reckoning for what was done to us during COVID-19 in the first place. From my perspective, there's still a lot to be done, but go ahead.
Yeah. So I just want to say right now is probably the best time for an independent party to begin to form, because the young people in America, my kids' age, I have a son who's 21, daughter who's 26. When I sit and talk to them, they are not having it. They see right through both parties. They look at them as two wings of the same bird. Mm-hmm. These kids have grown up with forever wars, always in war. They have grown up under COVID, and they had their high school years, their college years stolen from them, yes. Very disruptive to their lives. And they really see through it because both parties have been so co-opted now. The Democrat Party by the progressive leftist faction, mm-hmm. and the Republican Party by that establishment, or what we call rhino faction, right. who just caters to donors and money. And so ultimately it leads to the same outcome. So if there was ever a time for a potential independent run and success for maybe breaking free from that two-party system, we are probably there or at the forefront of it right now.
Yeah. And Shannon, like you saw, we were, we had those houses we were staying in to get our work done. And the younger crowd, they had those purple revolution shirts. Mm-hmm. And, they're there to support Massey, and they're not like the wild progressive leftists. And I do think there are foundational principles that are different. There's a difference there in the parties, but again, it all just gets intertwined once they get to DC. So I think you can still support people in a party, but the problem is in the states, the petitions, the ballot access, they make it harder for true constitutional Republicans to get in. Right. It's really bad. Michigan has one of the hardest chances, the most signatures that are needed. It's insane. And you have to be in the cartel of the petition circulators, which defraud you. So I do think that even in Michigan, they're trying to throw out that law for the petition. So little things are going to change. And right now in Michigan, I feel weird. I'm sharing posts from Democrats that are talking about data centers, and I feel a little weird. I'm like,
Good for you.
but then again, I'm like, you know what? It shouldn't matter, because I always said Ron Paul is my hero, and if he had been pushing masks, and I have him tattooed on my arm, the Ron Paul Revolution. I do.
I love it.
And I'm telling you, if he was pushing masks, I'd have called him out. So it doesn't matter which side of the aisle you're on. If Massey did something that was unconstitutional, I'd be the first one to text him and call his ass out. Excuse me.
I love it. No, you're allowed to say that word on the SJ show every so often. I think a well-placed curse word is very important for impact and effect. So don't worry about that. And I agree with you. And, here's the thing. I advocate. I have some people on the live chat right now saying to me, but Shannon, all the elections are, all the elections are rigged and we can't trust them. They steal elections. The Republicans steal them. The Democrats steal them. You just mentioned petitioning is almost impossible. It's virtually impossible in New York State to even get on the ballot as an independent because of the barriers that the uniparties have put up in terms of keeping people out. But I've always said, there are two things. You mentioned walking into Target. And it used to be that in June, Target was, swathed in gay pride, rainbows, LGBTQ. I mean, it was everywhere. And you walked in this time around and it's red, white, and blue, Americana, back to a more, traditional celebration of America. A neighboring town right here in New York State just they passed a resolution to get rid of the gay pride flags flying in their town, which I think is great. Like, there's nothing dumber in the world than flying a flag to tell people about who you like to have sex with. I just think it's absurd, completely absurd. And so they're getting a little bit of pushback, but we're here in New York State, and they're like, no, we're just not doing it. It's not appropriate. It's ridiculous. So, in that area, here's another example. Bobby Kennedy Jr. is going to fund Pfizer, and they're going to spend $1.24 billion on new COVID shots for adults and babies. But on the other hand, the culture is rejecting the shots. They can't even get uptake over 10%. Like, no one will take them. So they can make all the shots in the world if they want, but no one's going to take them, and no one's going to allow themselves to be locked down or coerced into taking shots again. So you have, on the one hand, electoral victories that we want to go for, and I think are important because of the organizational element. But we also have cultural victories, which I think are way bigger and way more important than the electoral victories, because it's a signal that the culture is moving. And the culture, I've said very often, is like a tidal wave. It's like a tsunami. Like, it will crash over these politicians, their institutions, their funders, their donors, everything that they think they have control of. Can be wiped away in a moment when the culture begins to move. But I only think the culture can move when people pull themselves out of the two-party alignment. And for conservatives, and I've been saying this for 10 years, it is pulling themselves out of the cult of Donald Trump. That has been, to me, that is a necessity. Until that happens, we are not going to get the tsunami tidal wave of cultural resistance. Your thoughts on that in terms of where to activate, because everybody always has an idea of what we should be doing to fight back. And I hear that a lot about the electoral system. They've told us for the last 10 years that it's all rigged. Donald Trump has told us that it's rigged. The Republican Party says it's rigged. So your thoughts on the balance there?
Well, I think the first thing we have to do is, I think it happens on both sides. Look what just happened in California. The SAVE Act, look, the Republicans have a majority. They can't even get the SAVE Act through. You shouldn't be able to use a gym membership to register to vote. And we have evidence all in different states, in our state, of people who are not citizens voting. So we've got to crack down on these clean up the voter rolls. And I remember when I was in the military, I was overseas. The only people that could vote with the mail-in ballot was if you were disabled in the hospital, or you were overseas in the military. And now it's like, anyone can do it. And that's how they're cheating. So we've just got to jointly get to that and admit it. Even though the Democrats usually are favored that way, I think the Republicans engaged in that in California. I think even some Republicans there were on Spencer Pratt to not win.
Yeah.
They're like self-hating Republicans. But we just have to focus at the local level. And that's why I endorse people that are true lovers of liberty, and they're afraid of me. I have candidates who are afraid of me. One of them is Mike Rogers. He's the godfather of all your Fourth Amendment violations, the Patriot Act, everything that you are complaining about, data centers, flat cameras, all the things. is from Mike Rogers. And now he's running for Senate in Michigan, even though he lost in 2024. You're welcome. Because I stall the Liberty crossover vote. I remind them of his record. So we just got to stop being, well, I don't want the Democrat. Well, I don't want the Democrat either, but I'm not going to reward this bad behavior. So I want Mike Rogers to lose, and it's already a Democrat seat, but stop just plugging your nose and thinking it's better than the other, because it's not. They're equal. Stop. Teach the GOP especially a lesson, because I honestly think I'm all for like the independent movement, but right now the reality is it is going to take a lot to break apart the two-party system. So we just need to keep more people like Massey and Ron Paul type people, and just get these people out that are just, bowing out to the donor. And we just need salary caps on these donations. If it was true grassroots donations, you'd see everyday people.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, go ahead, Tammy. Thoughts?
No, I was just going to say, people blame Kristen, or they say, oh, so you guys would, because she's very vocal against Mike Rogers. And I am too. I totally agree with her. But I have said to people so many times, look, at some point, you have to let the house crash and burn. You've got to let it burn down. You can't rebuild until you remove what's there. And that might be painful, but it has to happen. And right now we are in a good position to teach the GOP and the establishment donors, who are really nothing but uniparty, and are ultimately leading us to the same results, the same end. It might just be delayed a little bit, but they're all globalists and they're all leading us to the very same outcome. So we've got to, at some point, just, let the chips fall where they may. If we keep rewarding the Republican Party for pushing and putting forward people like Mike Rogers, because he has an R after his name, but he's going to vote to take away your Fourth Amendment rights, and he's going to vote to allow surveillance of citizens, that's what leads to this, the flock cameras, the 15-minute cities, the data centers. Thank you, Mike Rogers. What's the difference between voting for a Democrat and a Republican like that leads us to the same control? So that's where we say, we hope he loses, because the GOP needs to learn a real big lesson here, and they need to stop this insanity of doing the same thing over and over again. So until we collectively stand up and say, I'm not voting for the lesser of two evils anymore. That's been a message that the RNC and the GOP has pushed, and it is a losing message, because all it does is it allows that pendulum to swing further and further and further left every year. At some point, you got to stop it.
Right. Yeah. Well, and it's dragging the Republican Party further and further left.
Yes.
So there's no positive outcome. And I've said often, if you vote lesser of two evils for a long enough period of time, you end up with just plain evil. That's what you get. So
and
go
Republicans who have completely violated the tenets of the Republican Party. Like, I don't even think they remember what the Republican Party stood for.
Remember fiscal conservatism?
Right.
So what I just want to just finish that with is say, I've told people, stop voting for anyone that takes AIPAC money, because they're the ones that are really pulling us into wars. It's not against any group of people, so don't even try to throw that label on me. But they, have circumvented FARA. Even candidates who've taken just like $10,000 from AIPAC, I reach out to them. I go, if you say that you won't on your next term and you could lose your primary, I will promote the crap out of you. I will promise you the Liberty crossover vote. I just won't vote for anyone that takes AIPAC money. I don't care who they are. I will not. And once we start doing that, then you're just going to be, there's a lot of Democrats that don't like AIPAC. There's a lot of Republicans that don't like AIPAC. So you're coming at it both ways.
I think the approval rating for Israel as a nation state and Bibi Netanyahu is at all-time lows as well. And this is not anti-Semitism. This is, we just don't think we should be sending billions of dollars to a foreign country who is waging wars that we don't agree with. So it's
illegal to send them money. It's illegal to send them money because they have a nuclear weapon, and we are not supposed to give foreign aid to any country that has a nuclear weapon that doesn't allow inspections.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's common sense, and you're absolutely right. You guys always bring the data, and I don't disagree with you at all. I also think, this is what I think. I think that we should go back to regular voting machines, paper ballots, and public counting of paper ballots. I think that actually is even more important than voter ID. I think that getting the election machines out and using old-fashioned, paper ballots and hand counting in front of everyone would be a huge step in the right direction for encouraging Americans to trust their elections again. So
I miss when it was just hanging chads.
Right.
I know, right?
And it
Those
should
were
be
the
a
good old days, girls.
Yes,
Yeah.
it should be a national holiday. Everybody gets the day off. It's a national holiday. It's
Let's go.
election day. We go in,
Let's
we
go.
vote. And, did we ever have this problem before? I mean, when I was
Mm.
growing up, they didn't have electronics. And so
Mhm.
it was all hand counted, and we knew by the next morning at the latest. What is up with this 3 weeks later?
Well, girls, the techno-fascists make everything easier and better. It's all AI. By the time we're done with this, the AI is going to know who we want to vote for, and AI will tell us who to vote for. Let's go. I mean,
Exactly.
isn't that where it's going?
Exactly.
All right, guys, we're going to get into the meat and potatoes of today's show. We're going to be talking about the data centers, the data center revolt, the growing coalition of independents, Democrats, and Republicans from all shapes and sizes who are raging against these data centers and everything that these data centers represent. It isn't just the physical building. It's the idea that these data centers represent human slavery, tech slavery, and a 21st century tech slavery that, frankly, no one wants. People are sick of AI. They're sick of the data centers. They're sick of technology. And that doesn't mean we don't like technology when it's necessary. But we certainly don't need or want what the tech bros are putting out there. And Kristen and Tammy are experts in this topic. They've been crisscrossing the country, helping people in their own communities to rage against these machines. And when we come back, we're going to hear about all of the impacts, the environmental impact, the human impact, and the impact on our basic freedom, our right to privacy, our right to be free, our right to not be controlled by governmental overlords, whether it's from Washington, D.C. or Silicon Valley. So when we come back, we're going to continue this discussion today right here on the Shannon Joy Show. Keep it tuned. All right, make sure that every time you shop at the satellite phone store, sat123.com/joy, joy, that is sat123.com/joy, you are using the JOY promo code. That is going to get you at least 10% off your entire order. And if you're looking at products like generators or solar panels, if you're looking at a satellite phone and you're going to get a satellite phone subscription, those could be upwards over thousands of dollars. So that 10% discount is going to be huge. But they do have the entire line of Faraday products, the dark bags. So these are amazing. The Faraday technology not only protects you from harmful EMF radiation, but it also protects your phone from an EMP attack or any type of breakdown. So great products. The Faraday collection also shields you, protects you from the prying eyes of the federal government or the big tech bros. That's right. When you drop your phone or your device into a satellite phone store Faraday bag or backpack, you're off the grid. You are untraceable. They can't find you. And it gives you that added element of privacy while also protecting you from those harmful EMF radiation rays. So just really great technology, the best out there, and at the best prices when you use that JOY promo code. So sat123.com/joy. That is sat123.com/joy. Wellness company. I cannot tell you how much I love the ivermectin cream from the Wellness company. twc.health/joy, twc.health/joy. My son has just started using the ivermectin cream and he loves it. Not only is it controlling his acne, he had adolescent onset acne, really struggled with it in his junior year, his sophomore, junior year. We battled it. We've gotten it under control, but he still has occasional outbreaks and he still has the residual redness and scarring from those really difficult years, which has been frustrating for him. Recently put him on the ivermectin, and not only is it keeping his skin perfectly clear, he came to me this morning and he said, Mom, in just a couple days, I've already noticed that the redness and the scarring that I deal with every day is going away. It's actually reducing that redness from the scarring, which is unbelievable. That's something that I had to do. I had adult onset acne in my mid to late 20s, and the scarring was really bad. And it took me years of microneedling microneedling with PRP to reduce all of the bumps and all of the redness at the bottom half of my face. This is being cured by ivermectin. The ivermectin cream, my son is using it. I use it as well for rosacea. If you're older and you're beginning to get that redness throughout your cheeks and on your nose and around your mouth, and it's really bothering you, the ivermectin cream knocks it out in as little as the first use. I noticed a huge difference within a day or two. So you can get that on discount from the Wellness Company. It's one of their best products. twc.health/joy. That is twc.health/joy.
We can't.
Oh no. She didn't unmute. I wonder if she knows.
Use. Sorry about that. Wouldn't be my birthday if I didn't stumble on Rumble. That is a classic Shannon Joy shumble. Sorry about that, everyone. Thank you guys for the alerts on the live chat. I was just talking about how thankful I was for our sponsors at the Shannon Joy Show. Thankful for the satellite phone store. And thank you, of course, to the Wellness Company. We could not bring the show to you every day without our amazing sponsors. And I appreciate all of you on the live chat who let me know that my mic wasn't turned on. Greatly appreciate all of you. Zen Woman, Chronozone 777, I see you on the live chat. We'll go to some of your comments in just a little bit when we let Tammy and Kristen go. But I do want to go back to our special guests because they have a lot to say about what is going on with the data center build out and the resistance to it. Today, my special guests, we have Tammy Clark and Kristen Megan Kelly. They are experts in the build out of these data centers, what they mean in terms of freedom, what they mean in terms of environmental impact, and what they mean in terms of human impact. What are the data centers doing to we, the people? And they're also fully embedded in the politics of all of this at the local level. So you guys just have everything at your fingertips to really explain to the audience what is going on, where we are in terms of pushback, how many have been rolled out, how many have been stopped, all of the things. So I would like to talk a lot less in the next half an hour and give you guys as much time at your own pace with each other to explain where we are and what's going on and why these data centers are such a disaster. So let's get started.
Well, first off, I have to say, we were whispering. We were trying to tell you that you were muted, but I was thinking, as I couldn't hear you, how hard it must have been for people who are deaf when people were wearing masks. So,
Right?
Good point. Good point. No,
Right.
girls. So this is classic shumble. Everyone calls it when Shannon fumbles on Rumble when I self-produce
Oh, it's too
because
cute. Well, you're very animated and very cute.
I mean, I really mean it. Like whenever I'm talking, like I really feel it. The passion is there. Just don't have a microphone. So,
Yeah. So
well,
I want to start out, but before I'm going to let Kristen start out with the human and environmental impacts that we come from in our profession, which is why we stood up and we're calling this COVID 2.0. Here we go again, because we're getting pulled into another fight that our profession directly touches, right? And I'll let Kristen explain that. But I just want to start out by saying, because we have been so gaslit and we are being called agents of China, influencing American technology growth and innovation by parroting a Chinese narrative that is intent on holding America back. That is not at all what is going on here. So we just want to say, first of all, we are not agents of China. Nobody is paying us to say what we're paying or what we're saying. We're saying what we're saying simply because it's our job to recognize hazards to people in a workplace or in the community at large, or our environment. And so we know the systems and the designs and the outcomes That's why we blew the whistle on this. We are not anti-technology. We are not trying to slow growth or stop progress, not at all, because there are safer and better ways to do it. That's all we're saying, is we just need to do this responsibly with as minimal impacts, negative impacts to human and environmental health as possible. So I'll let Kristen start out by explaining what our profession is and how it touches these types of hazards.
Okay.
So a lot of people are confused when they hear the term industrial hygienist. We're not dentists and we're not janitors, respectable fields, but we are exposure scientists. We're like the civilian equivalent of OSHA, EPA, the Nuclear Regulatory Commission, and the DOT. So we have to know what happens. Basically, we have to know what everyone does in an occupational setting. What are they doing? What are the hazards? And we anticipate, recognize, evaluate, and control those health hazards.
Right.
And it can be from all routes of entry. So we're talking like ingestion, absorption, illumination, like lighting, inhalation, you name it.
Right.
And then we have to make sure that what is happening in the workplace is not bleeding out into the community regarding community public health. And just so everyone understands, our profession falls under total worker health, a faction of public health. And one of the biggest hazards, so when we're assessing a hazard, first I want to say a lot of people that are pushing back are like, where are the studies? Well, there are no studies on the exposures that we're about to discuss in a 24/7 exposure group, because what we're going to tell you is all data that we know exists from this type of operation. And it's based on an 8-hour time-weighted average exposure, because that's the average work day. So when I tell you the hazards, I'm telling you this based on an 8-hour exposure,
Right.
24/7. So the worst hazard from these hyperscale data centers, let me also say, people will say, there's been data centers around for 15, 20 years. Yeah, those are micro data centers for banks and hospitals that store data, your dentist that has to keep your records on file. These aren't giant hyperscale data centers that use millions of gallons of water. They don't need their own substation or transformers.
Right.
Massive forms of infrastructure that use more energy than a whole state sometimes. And I spent 9 years in the military doing my job. So we have obviously huge facilities on Air Force bases. And I did my job for a large electrical utility company. So I already know what happens when you have a large substation and transformers. So just so people understand, there's step down and step up. You're sending the power from both ends. So you have electromagnetic frequencies and extremely low frequencies. You have cooling fans. You have servers. There's a whole bunch of equipment inside of the hyperscale data centers. And it emits, yes, a very audible, annoying noise. But the noise that you're not hearing so much is called tonal noise, and it has biological impacts, and it's called infrasound. So when you hear people talk about noise is unwanted sound, and they're usually talking about audible, something measured in decibels A, dBA. So when I say dB, that's what I mean. But tonal noise you cannot measure with dBA. It is measured through dBc as in Charlie, dBz as in Zulu, and there's special equipment and calculations that you have to figure out. Otherwise, it's like saying, look at the sun with sunglasses on. You're not getting the full sun rays. If you take off your sunglasses, you'll tell a difference.
Right.
So what we're seeing too, when I get into this tonal noise, is just know that people are pushing back saying, well, it's only 55 decibels, dBA. Cool story, bro. We're not talking about dBA. Tonal noise has biological impacts. And what it does is, if you think about, even when you're listening to like a fan, you have multiple frequencies going like this. Different frequencies going on a long time. Tonal noise is a steady, low frequency sound. And
Okay.
you try so hard to filter it out, and it's so steady. It's used to be used as a form of a military torture technique.
No way.
Stress levels in your body by elevating your cortisol. And when it elevates the cortisol, also increases the heart rate, so causes tachycardia. So if you're an expectant mother, it can elevate the heart rate, maternal fetal, so the mother and the fetus. That can cause low birth weight or early birth. And we've seen in animals already near hyperscale data centers that are actually having stillbirths of their cattle.
No way.
But what it also does is, if you're someone that has a pacemaker, it can offset your pacemaker. But it can cause vertigo, migraines, insomnia, and sleep disruption. And even when you look at anyone's ever dealt with insomnia or know someone who's been in like menopause or just has PTSD, insomnia can cause suicidal ideation, cause your immune system. So we're talking a whole other myriad of health impacts. But that is the biggest hazard. But it's also a hazard, like I said, to neurodivergent children the most, because they're more sensitive to sounds and frequencies. And then even livestock and cattle, horses have been known to cause harm to themselves. And cattle, it can impact. We talked to a large animal veterinarian that told us when there's low milk production, they try to look for a root cause. So they do blood draws. And one of the things they test is cortisol because they know that elevated cortisol levels can lower that milk production.
Right.
So we've already seen dairy farmers say this is lowering the milk production. It disrupts mating cycles. And and also it can impact crops. When we were in Kansas and we saw all the wheat blowing in the flatland, we really got the full optical scope of, oh my gosh, this is really bad. Because tonal noise, by the way, loves wind. Wind carries it. It bounces off buildings. It's not easy. Like when you're playing music on a phone and you cover the speaker,
right?
Tonal noise would go right through my hand. So it bounces through the ground,
Oh my God.
towers, it uses the soil. Tonal noise is so hard to control. And again, you feel it, you don't hear it. So it's kind of like radiation. You can't see it. So people don't know unless they're testing for it. But it has something called, it's bioacoustics and acoustic ecology. So do you remember like people used to show videos of they play like Mozart or like, Frank Sinatra, like happy, slow music to help their plants grow. It's a real thing.
Sure.
Well, not tonal noise, and it can actually make the crops not produce as much, and it impacts their living things. So
that's wild. Well, can I slow you down for a moment? This tonal noise, is this a feature of every hyperscale data center? I mean, is this there and in every capacity? And how much impact does it have on a square mile basis? Like how much is it pushing out compared to, say, a normal factory or a traditional data center or some other, major industrial build out? Like, is there a difference there? And how many people can it impact?
Yeah, well, first off, sorry, I'm long-winded on this topic because
that's okay.
I'm trying to pack in, but I will definitely answer that. So first of all, if anyone ever tells you that there's a safe setback, you cannot determine that. It is site specific because of what I just told you. It can bounce off other structures and it depends on the type of soil. Like Oklahoma has a lot of clay. Oh, it's going to carry it far. It can go up into home foundations and then crack windows. The reason is when we are dealing with any construction, we also do construction safety. At the design, we talked about this during COVID, the hierarchy of safety and controls, the upside down pyramid. At the very, very top, when you're dealing with a hazard, can you substitute or eliminate? Yes, you can. You can use, first of all, we don't need hyperscale data centers. There's other technologies. That's for a different show, but there's other technologies that could fit on my desk right here. I can do the same thing as a hyperscale data center.
Right.
So it's already outdated. But even more so, the servers I was telling you about, the servers, the cooling fans, the cooling towers, the water systems, they make the tonal noise through vibration and they exacerbate one another. What they could do is use lower speed fans. They could put the servers on springs and types of foam placement so that it absorbs some of that vibration. Instead, they just put it on a cement slab. So that's what's even more infuriating is that they can make these have less tonal noise.
Right.
God forbid it costs more money. We're talking about billion-dollar corporations.
Right.
So it's lazy. They're not implementing the proper engineering controls. But you want to know the irony? When they say they're bringing jobs, it's only in construction. The average data center has 7 to 10 employees. In their own offices, they have engineering controls, foam, and absorbency factors in the wall where there's like hollow walls. OSHA requires them to be protected from tonal noise. But who's protecting community members?
Right.
Health departments?
Wow.
Yeah. And I want to add to that too. I know that's a lot of information Kristen just threw at you, but it's really important because people need to listen to this, go back and listen, take notes, because they need to be going to their county commission boards, their local planning and zoning boards where they're considering bringing in one of these hyperscale data centers, because they need to understand first and foremost, there is no need ever for a hyperscale data center anymore because of the technology that exists. Okay, so there is that. And then in addition, when people say the data center companies, the executives and the lobbyists, they just flat out lie to people. They gaslight. They do a clever game of wordsmithing by twisting things. And the average person, people that don't work in our career field and are not trained on the technicalities of this scientific exposure, they wouldn't know. It's just like with COVID, like what we saw with COVID, how people were so easily bought and swayed because they didn't have the facts, the medical, the scientific facts to come back and argue that and understand why what they were hearing was not right. So one of the reasons you can never say, well, you need to have so much setback for a data center or whatever is because there are so many different factors involved, including the design. So there's different design engineering systems, the different sizes of the systems, the speed at which the HVAC cooling fans run, how many cycles per hour. And then you have to factor in the community. Like Kristen and I, like she said, when we were in Kansas, the land was very flat. It was hard, compact. A lot of it's very flat, and it was so windy. So this tonal noise is going to go way further than what it would in a mountainous area, and it's going to impact people for miles away. So there is no one size fits all answer. So don't believe the data center companies when they tell you, "Oh, we're at such and such a setback." Well, you got to look at the system design, and you have to look at the surrounding area, because it's very site specific.
Right.
Those are the two things that we say you should never build a hyperscale data center, and they should never have access to any water because there are alternative cooling systems available. And that is so dangerous when you start drinking our aquifers dry, like in New York, in upstate New York, 2 of the 3 aquifers are dry.
Right.
When you think about that, like, what are we doing? This is insane. We're going to give the computers the water and not the people.
No, that's interesting. And so this is what everyone needs to take away here. Number one, none of these hyperscale data centers are necessary, period. None of these are necessary, period. The technology has already advanced, and there are much safer, easier, and smaller scale ways to achieve the impact, the compute impact that these developers are looking for. That's a whole different story. I don't want them to get the compute, to be honest, because for me, that represents human slavery. It represents, the reason they want these data centers is to collect all of our information, process all of our information, and then use it to enslave us. And so I don't want them doing that in any capacity. But I think what you're saying is very important to people who are on the ground and getting prepared to fight back against these. Like there are no amount of experts that they can bring into your town hall meeting to say, well, we need it for this, we need it for that. They do not need them, period. So that's point number one that I think is really important. I did notice that you guys are comparing this to COVID. It does feel like warp speed to me. We have executive orders. We have emergency declarations by this administration. We have major government investments. We have public-private partnerships between our government and massive tech corporations. All of this in the name of the arms race with China. We also have the accusations that ladies like you are working for China. Somehow we are Chinese propagandists. We're being paid to oppose these data centers, which is absolutely insane. But that idea that this is a coordinated plan. It's been in place for a very long time. Personally, I think it's a continuation of COVID-19, those lockdowns. I think it is another aspect of their agenda to enslave us all in their digital police surveillance state. How do you guys see these data centers from that aspect? Like, we know that there's a human impact. We know that there's an environmental impact with the water, but what about the freedom impact? And who do you think is behind this? And what do you think their agenda is?
It's the deep state. It's the people that are behind Agenda 2030, the smart cities. It's to get us to have to move away from them. I saw one of the commenters bring up Maria Z's show. I saw it. I've been a guest on her show twice on this issue, one with you.
Right. Yep.
And yeah, you have to kind of zoom out. I'm very ADHD, so I'm very much zoom out and I go, what's the bigger picture here?
Right.
This is all tied onto mass surveillance. Our government, I think when you go back to when we were granted the internet and social media, they realized that people around the country, even involving foreign conflicts, they're getting the real information, not what the media is telling us. And they do not like that we can talk to one another. So now that they've opened Pandora's box, they're trying to control what's in Pandora's box. What I mean is they're now kind of punishing us. I can see a day where they're going to try to give us a digital ID to use the internet.
Mm-hmm.
They can track everything we do. And it's kind of like I said, I used to work with InfoWars, and back then just things we would say, people thought we were nuts, and it's all come true.
Right.
So I do think it's a collective mass surveillance type system, and it is replacing jobs. I do think there's like a demonic aspect to this. I think Hollywood is always one step ahead of us, and I don't want AI being used in defense. That scares the crap out of me. I think that's actually what happened when our Navy ships hit the girls' school. I can't really tell you how I 100% know that that was the Navy, but I can tell you it was our Navy.
Mm-hmm.
For OPSEC reasons, I cannot tell you why, but please trust me on that. And it's just, it's a whole, just picture the cork board with all the strings. It's to control us that are all active online. And they don't, I always say we outnumber the sociopaths, and I think they know that. So they want to put us in handcuffs.
Talk to me about the tech bros. Something that I reported to my audience very, very early in 2024 was the alignment of Peter Thiel, Elon Musk, Silicon Valley tech billionaires around Donald Trump. And, what I told my audience in 2024 that they had essentially purchased his candidacy, and they purchased his presidency. That has come to fruition. I think that they are revealing themselves. Their comments about the future of humanity are dystopian. They're disturbing. They are anti-humanity. We have Elon Musk talking about a universal basic income that is slavery. That's food stamps for all, no wealth for anyone, no private property, no ability to accrue wealth. We have, people talking about the elimination of all jobs, the elimination of humans, robots doing everything. Like, it's all quite dystopian, and to your point, anti-human. Then you have the transhumanist aspect of this. We know that Peter Thiel and Elon Musk are heavy into transhumanism and Neuralink, chipping people's brains, chipping their bodies. All of it is very, very frightening to a lot of people. How much of this agenda do you think Trump was privy to, or is privy to now? Or is he just a complete puppet? He doesn't know anything. Like, what are your thoughts on that? Because from my perspective, it looks like they are firmly in control. They're losing control of the narratives very quickly, which I think is very good. But they still are in control. What are your thoughts on the bad guys and who they are? I know that it's hard to know the money people behind all of the systems, but from my perspective, they work together. But what are your thoughts there?
Well, I do believe that President Trump's ego is his biggest downfall. And he is truly a New York businessman. And if you look at his first presidency versus where he is today, he did operate like a true businessman. And I always said a New York businessman. Even that is a little different.
Lying, cheating, stealing.
They're very good.
I'm from New York.
Yeah. Delegating, right?
Yeah.
They're just like, get her done, get in. Everything is big and fast and bold and decisive, and putting people in place. You're the expert. Okay, you do this. You're the expert here. Okay, you do this. He was not a politician. He was a businessman. And we, at the time, I believe we did need somebody. This country was just circling the drain because of Obama and Biden, and then Obama again, pulling the strings. And so we did need somebody with some business savvy to come in and turn that Titanic around fast. And he did do a lot of really good things for America. I don't regret my votes for him, because had he not won and he had not done some really good things to stop the bleeding in that first, as much as he could, in that first presidency, we would have been in much bigger trouble. We'd probably already be in smart cities had Kamala Harris won. However, Trump is also a narcissist, and he has a big ego. I mean, I'm one who will give credit where credit is due, but I'm not afraid to call out the bad behavior either, because he answers to us. He's a representative. And so when we see him going in this direction because somebody tells him, oh, Mr. President, you're going to look so great. You're going to save the country. You're going to this. I think he just believes it. I've said so many times, I don't think he's evil. I think he has zero discernment. And I think he believes the people around him. Like with Fauci, he just listened to Fauci, and just let him say whatever. And we're just scratching our heads like, do you not realize? But no, he's still very proud of Operation Warp Speed. He can't be wrong. And so I've watched.
I think that's evil, though. I think that's evil. Like, to know that millions of people died because of a system that you put in place, like he locked us down. He signed
Yes.
the executive order. He initiated Operation Warp Speed. He
Yes.
gave Anthony Fauci the power. He was the one that sent out the mail-in ballots that eventually led to his defeat in that 2020 election.
And I do not think he knew.
He doesn't
I
care.
don't think he knew. I honestly
He
don't.
knows now.
He wouldn't have sent out those ballots if he knew he was going to lose. He wouldn't. I don't
know.
think he loves America and he loves the people. And I don't think that he would have done something intentionally knowing it was going to kill millions of people. Again, he just listens to people with no discernment. But now he's gotten into a place. And if you ever call him out on anything, Kristen and I were just messaging about this the other day. Like, if you call him out on something, his ego is going to get in the way, and he's going to double down on that. He's going to lean into it and make it worse because he can't be wrong. So
I'll tell you, I agree. But you know what changed me? Because no one knows a person's spirit. No one knows what's going on the inside.
Right.
But when I had Marjorie Taylor Greene on my program, and she talked about the conversation that she had with the president, how he demeaned her, he was abusive to her, he screamed at her. This was for standing up for the victims and the survivors of Epstein and his cabal of sex traffickers. When it finally came to the point where they had their final conversation, she said to him, "Please stop, because my son is getting death threats. They are threatening to kill my son." And he said to her, "I don't care if they kill your son. And if they do kill your son, it's your fault."
Yeah, that's terrible.
Yeah. And that was the last conversation. So when I hear that, I think I can't. And then I know that he doesn't care that millions of children are dead and millions of humans are dead or debilitated because of his shot. Anyone who wants to talk about it, he won't allow it. I can't give that a pass. I just can't give that a pass. And I think that there's something more sinister. That's just my opinion.
Yeah.
It's just my opinion. It's,
I hear you. And that's why I've been really disgusted with him, because that's not leadership. And that's why I said in the very beginning of all this, look, you could have said, when you recognize that Anthony Fauci was giving you bad information and he was lying to you, what he should have done at that point. Because if you remember, he did put out a tweet, or maybe it was a Truth Social, that he demanded answers. There was a small moment, a small window he had to say, look, you could walk this back. And my partner, I don't know if you remember, but Stand Up Michigan, I'm the vice president of that large grassroots organization in Michigan. My partner, who is the president, Ron Armstrong, actually was talking to his people behind the scenes saying, listen, you have an opportunity to walk this back. Put the blame where the blame lies, on Anthony Fauci for giving you bad information that caused you to make a poor decision. Because leaders in those positions, they do rely on their advisors. He had a moment of opportunity to walk that back and put blame where blame should have been put, and then prosecute him for it. And he didn't, because he can't be wrong. And that's where I say his ego and his narcissism gets in the way. And instead of admitting, I got bad information, I made a bad decision, and we need to walk this back, well, we need to hit the brakes. He could have done that, and the American people would have respected that.
That's the narcissism.
Right.
I was married to one. They will never admit they're wrong, no matter what. It doesn't matter if they were drunk and killed someone in a car. They're still going to blame something on the car. Their whole existence rides on never being wrong. So if he admits he's wrong, then he thinks his entire legacy is wiped.
It shows weakness.
And I think this is the reason that we cannot allow power to be consolidated in Washington, D.C. We cannot allow power to be consolidated in just a few hands. We cannot allow our federal government to partner with massive corporations and massive banks to fleece the people. We cannot allow our federal government or any government to collaborate or to partner with the medical industrial complex, the military industrial complex, the educational industrial complex, because we cannot control them. And that amount of power, in my opinion, attracts the worst of humanity, the absolute worst of humanity. And so it's not one person is worse than another person. It's that we can't allow that infrastructure to exist. We've got to decentralize. We've got to devolve power back out to localities and to states, because Washington, D.C., it's over. It's over.
Yeah, it's too late. That already exists. All of that. And that truly is the definition of fascism.
Right.
I mean, and it exists. We are, I've been saying that I'm very patriotic. That's why I stood up. I love my country and I love my freedoms more than anything else. But we have become a fascist nation because we have the government in bed with the biggest corporations, with
100%.
the military, the banking systems, and they're controlling all of us. We think we're free, but we're not.
Right.
You know, it's up to us, we the people, to get involved locally and hold the line and start taking it back from the bottom up.
Well, and I think we can do that. I think that's why this data center conversation is so critically important, because this is the one issue that is really rallying regular Americans together, regardless of their politics, regardless of their demographics, or, their age, race, sex. People do not want this in their backyard, and they don't want what the data centers represent, which is that technical slavery or that techno-fascism. So can you tell us about where the battle is? You girls are on the front lines in towns and villages across the country, advocating, educating on how these data centers will impact people's human bodies, their environment, but also their freedom. So where are we in this battle? What gives you hope? What makes you optimistic? What are the challenges? And where do you see this movement going?
Well, the biggest battle starts with different states that have given like tax protections. And these people that are trying to seat the data centers are looking for places where you have struggling farmers.
Okay.
So people are already getting a head start in waking up the farmers saying, don't take these deals. There's no ROI that's promised. You're not going to get your land use back and it's going to harm your animals. But like here in Michigan, there was Whitmer has these protections for these data centers. But at the local level, we have something that we have like this commission that makes the decision of whether or not the data centers can go in. So we're trying to overturn that.
Mm-hmm.
But at the local level, is like let those people know that if they don't stand up and start updating their noise ordinances to reflect the tonal noise.
Yeah.
Like Tammy talks a lot. I'll get into the whole demo thing if you want to bring that up. I'll have you bring that up. But again, it's seeing the Democrats, Republicans, independents, and libertarians working together, and they are willing to sit in those seats at the township and county level. So we're seeing as more horror stories come out and situations can't be stopped, it's like a domino effect, but we're getting ahead of those people. And I've told people, start cyclically looking. It's different in every state. Who is filing for diesel generator air permits in large quantities? Because these data centers, these hyperscale ones, can use up to like 100 to 200 of these generators, and only so much is allowed. So start looking for those. That's like the first feeler of knowing, are they looking at your area? And then keep an eye out for drones, because they're starting to survey land. So
unbelievable.
Yeah, the local level is where it's at. Get ahead of it. Change the ordinances. Change up your zoning.
How much is this about just land grabbing? Daniel Horowitz makes the assertion that this isn't even really about data centers, and half to 75% of the data centers that they're proposing aren't even going to happen. But this is all about going in and scooping up the land using Trump's emergency declarations, all of the carve outs, and the avenues that are beneficial to the corporations, and of course eminent domain, to seize this land and basically just take what is of value before they put us all on their digital currencies.
Yeah, we do see that happening. And this is why these corporations have partnered with energy companies and utility companies, because you cannot use eminent domain for any private reason. It has to be for public reason. So they're utilizing the energy companies and the utility companies and claiming, oh, this is for, the build out of upgrading old infrastructure of our electrical grids and things like that. So it's totally a lie because they don't need it, but that's how they're getting around it, and that's how they're going about it. And this has been in the works for decades. You can't get to the point where you have massive transformers built across the country with massive substations that have been built out all along them, running through the entire heartland. And now they're at the point where they can just pull the trigger and plop a data center here, here, here. This has been being built out for like 20 years. We saw that come together when we were in Kansas.
Really?
Yeah. And then I was just in North Dakota. Same thing. It's like one big planned what they're calling, actually, Larry Fink of BlackRock is calling it the build out of the modern industrial new economy. He's actually calling it that, but it's paving the way for digital currency. And so we don't have these data centers. And I say the difference between these data centers and what we need for computational outputs is that these data centers will be collecting and storing data. They are not meeting the organic demands for computational output that they're claiming AI needs. Two very different things here. And so when you understand the new technologies, and when you understand you don't need water for cooling, and you understand that they can be done safely and effectively without the negative human and environmental impacts, without grabbing the land, without drinking the aquifers dry, without taking up all the electricity, skyrocketing, electrical rates for all the ratepayers around them, you look at it and you say, okay, what is really going on here? This is what happened with Chris and I in COVID. We started just blowing the whistle because we started saying it is never okay to put something over your mouth and nose and restrict your normal natural breath to protect you from a virus. That's not how we do things in our profession, and so when we got into it, at first we just started speaking on the negative health impacts, like educating people. This is wrong. Don't do this. Well, then we got into it, and then we started realizing there is something really nefarious going on here. There's a weird agenda behind this. And that really hit us hard because it was very heavy, because we found ourselves up against a global demonic agenda. Well, we are finding ourselves in the same situation again with these data centers. And we didn't realize when we got into this fight, thinking, whoa, what are we doing? This is going to cause human and environmental impact. We did not realize it was all connected to this same beast system that they're building right now. But it's all just like you said, Shannon, it's just another aspect of the same thing, the same infrastructure that's being developed. And now we're up against something really big.
Well, and when you look at their aspirations to tokenize everything that moves on the face of the planet. So every blade of grass, every tree, every human, every piece of data that they could conceivably collect, including what's going on inside of your body, what's going on inside of your mind, what's going on inside of your home, that they seek to surveil and collect and process, and then use that information to control and cull humanity into a manageable population of people. They then, corral us all into the tiny little cities. They take the rest of the land. Interesting enough, right? They're getting hundreds of millions of acres of land through this process. The declaration of an emergency, the need to fast track everything. Notice how fast this is accelerating and how quickly they're trying to get this done. It all begins to make sense. The financial transactions, as they seek to put every human on a universal, basic, tokenized income, meaning food stamps, digital food stamps that are controllable, programmable, confiscatable, if they would like. You begin to understand why they need to build this out. And then when you understand the United States of America realizing that we are an empire in decline, that there's no more money left in the bank, that they've printed way too much, the profligate spending, the corruption, the money printing over the past 100 years. And you begin to see that the idea here is, well, we will make the United States of America the data processing capital of the world, will build out the infrastructure, will be the techno-fascist, slave state. It's why we have 4,000 to 5,000 data centers in process here in the country, as opposed to 200 or 300 in China, or a couple hundred in the next largest capacity country. You begin to see that there's a whole plan here. And maybe I'm crazy. I mean, that's just the way that I see it. But to me, every piece of the puzzle comes together. They wanted to seize our bodies, and they wanted to be able to inject us and put us in quarantine camps during COVID. This is just the next process there. But that's how I see this. That's why the dangers are in every aspect of these data centers represents danger to me for humanity and for freedom and for liberty.
Yeah. Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, if we can't fight these 15-minute cities, put me near a dispensary or liquor store, because I'm not going to sober. I'm not. I'm tired.
I mean, it's serious though. This is like serious stuff.
No, it is very serious, but I want to give you guys hope because just like we defeated, like Kristen was my partner. It was our written briefs. We heard Attorney Scott Keller read in the United States Supreme Court case against OSHA. And you know what? We won that case. We stopped OSHA. We stopped the mandates. They went away. And then the waters kind of receded around the world because as America goes, so does the world. And I just want to give people hope because the American people are rising up. They are packing their little township boards, their city halls, their county commission meetings, buildings. And collectively, we have stopped over 50% of all new data center construction that was slated to begin in 2026.
That's amazing.
We are chasing them away. We had one little town, Google actually told the one little cute little town in Kansas where we were at, all this Bible study group, this moms group got together and they were bringing their signs and they had like prayer hands on their signs, pray for, I forget the name of the little town. And they would bring their rosaries and they would sit in the meetings and they would pray. And the Google executive, they had so much pushback and so many little praying moms and moms groups and signs that the Google exec actually told the Kansas Senate Majority Leader, we're out. We can't fight God. They said we can't fight God. So you guys, that kind of resistance is godly because, it's like Thomas Jefferson said, when tyranny becomes, Kristen's got it back here.
When the people fear the government, there's tyranny. And when the government fears the people, there's liberty.
And when tyranny becomes, your normal, what you're dealing with, then disobedience becomes duty. Somebody in there can put the quote in there. I don't remember the exact, but that's the point. That's godly. It's godly to stand up and resist tyranny because God is the author of freedom.
Absolutely.
And we have to fight and protect and preserve what he gave us. So it is our duty to stand up and fight for our freedoms. And we're doing it. People are chasing these developers and these data centers away just by the resistance. And there is a factor too that the transformers and the components and the chips, they're having a hard time. They're on such back order that a lot of these projects are getting stalled. And then when you put in that public backlash, these developers do not like this negative PR. So we are successfully chasing them away. And I tell people the more resistance you have, the more likely it is you're going to chase them away. Now, we're not going to win every single battle in this war, but we are winning this war. And I do believe we will, just like we won the COVID war.
And we did win the COVID war, and they're not acknowledging it yet. Right.
Yes,
but even that is trickling out. I do believe that the truth is going to be told about what was done to we, the people, during the disastrous lockdowns of 2020 and the rollout of those poison shots. That's not over yet. I think we're still pushing for that. And I think this is just, the next part of the battle. And I'm just so glad that you girls are out there fighting this battle along with me and other people. We are approaching the end of the show. And so, there's probably a lot more that we could talk about. Kristen, I wanted to give you a minute to just, comment on what Tammy said. Tammy, I agree with you 100%. This hopefully is just the beginning. I'm exhausted though, by the way.
We know. We can relate.
Girls.
Me too. I was at a Journey concert last night and I'm feeling it today.
Kristen knows how to have fun. You're my kind of girl. She's like, listen, if we're all going to go out, then, let's have a glass of vino and listen to some Journey music, and it's all
exactly.
Yeah, all I was just going to say on that topic is, I will say this: I did not look for additional sources, but there was an article circulating that there was a declaration of an emergency based on the power grid in the South. And I thought, you don't say. So that's another thing too, is we're seeing right now, as we've had the heat wave, is that don't tell me to not water my lawn. Don't tell me I can't turn my air down when you are allowing these giant hyperscale data centers to drain all of our resources.
Exactly.
So it's like the lie can only stay inside the box for so long before you're pushing EV vehicles, you're pushing this. These data centers use a lot of electricity, and we already have, just one last thing. I know this from working in electrical utility. Your town, your state may consent to building more substations with transformers and in adding to your infrastructure of electrical, but you're tied to an agreement with other states. So you may consent to it here, but you may be screwing over the people down the line. We are part of MISO here in Michigan. we can piss off Canada. Canada could say, we're cutting you off.
Right.
We're by the Great Lakes, so they want our water. So we're fighting that here.
Yeah. Well, we just need to keep fighting. I mean, everything but the kitchen sink, doesn't matter what they throw at us. We know the modus operandi. It's a crisis. It's an emergency. It's a declaration of emergency. It is, we have to, super speed this thing. We just have to keep calm, carry on, tell the truth, never give up. And I know you guys are there as well. And so, ladies, thank you for all of your hard work. Thank you for continuing to be consistent in everything you do. You stick to your principles, even when it's not politically advantageous for you. That's a really difficult thing to do. And I understand how difficult that is. I understand the pushback going up against the president of the United States of America and this coalition. And I commend both of you for being so brave and so courageous, both during the lockdowns of 2020, but now as we begin to prepare to fight the second wave of battles, because they are coming. So guys, if you can support Tammy and Kristen, please do so. I'm going to give you guys an opportunity to let the audience know where they can find you and how they can support all of your efforts, because you guys need to be supported in what you're doing. And then we'll make sure that we get you in for an update maybe in a few months or so as things begin to heat up, because sorry, guys, I hate to tell you this, but I think we're only about halfway through this war against humanity. Unfortunately, a lot of people thought that with the election of Donald Trump in 2024, that we were going to have the Great Awakening and everything was going to be great. And I think that the bloom is off that rose for a lot of people. So let's put on our big boy pants, our big girl pants, and gird our loins, because we've got some work to do. But how can everyone help you ladies moving forward?
Well, you can find me. I put a lot of content, very spicy, on X.
Love it.
My handle is @KristenMegan. And then on Facebook, I pretty much post everything as public. People think it's old. There's 3 billion users on Facebook. It's Kristen Megan Kelly, my full name. And then I'm on TikTok as Kristen Megan TV. But I think from looking at the comments, a lot of your viewers know who owns that now. So I'm very shadow banned on the TikTok.
I had Ed Dowd on last week and we got going, 40 minutes into the show, there was so much truth telling that they took my TikTok video down. I don't think I'm banned yet on TikTok, but I can try to go live again tomorrow. But yeah, they took our video down. What the heck?
I have almost 200,000 followers and my videos get no comments.
It
is crazy.
Ever since the takeover.
Yeah. The shadow banning. That's Larry Ellison, right?
Yeah, we're very used to the censorship and the shadow banning, and we just keep putting it out there and letting it fall where it does and let people take it and share it. And it was effective, even though it's very hard. It was effective. So we know the message is getting out there, because the truth always comes out. So you can find me on X at Tammy_K_Clark and at Facebook at Tammy K Clark.
Amazing. Keep up the good work, you guys. You're the best. You're the best. I know it's exhausting, but keep having fun while you're doing it, because otherwise, well, we would just stick our head in the oven, wouldn't we? And it's, we
That's
just got to
exactly right.
Well, enjoy the rest of your birthday.
Thank
you. Have a great
you.
evening.
Yes.
Thank you so much. No matter what they do, I'm still going to have fun. I loved the picture of Thomas Massie and his wife and Marjorie Taylor Greene and her new husband right after Thomas Massie lost the election, the primary election in Kentucky. And a couple days later, he is on the beach. His feet are in the sand. They're living. They're having a good time. I'm like, no matter what they do to us, I'm going to have fun. I'm going to love my neighbor and my family. We're going to laugh and have a good time doing this, because they're not going to take that away from us. Keep being human. Stay human. And eventually, as you guys said, the truth is going to come out.
Well, that's why we love you, and that's why we're friends, because we have made fun and we have made adventures out of all of this.
You have. I love it. I love it. Keep doing it. Keep doing it. All right, guys. Thanks, ladies. Have a great day, and we'll have you in again very soon.
Thank you.
Of course, you guys, we're going to go to a quick break, and then we're going to close out the show. And yes, I see you on the live chat. Is Shannon now starting the show officially at 12:30 every day, Monday through Thursday, Eastern time? Kind of. I'm trying to get it started by 12:15. Technically, it's supposed to start at 12 noon, but I just never seem to get there. And I don't know. I just have this weird thing. Like 12:30 just seems to be the natural start time for me. But I'm going to try to start a little bit earlier. I see you, Be My Valentine. Hey, Sean, I see you on the live chat on Rumble. Trump is the swampiest mofo yet. What a bait and switch they pulled. Stole TikTok from the Chinese so he could enforce pro Israel censorship. Really interesting comment, Sean Afong. And hey, Sean, I'm so glad to see you on the Rumble live chat. Haven't seen your face before, so that is awesome. If you guys are watching right now on Rumble, do me a favor for my birthday, okay? This is my birthday present. I want you to give the Shannon Joy Show a thumbs up right now on my Rumble channel and follow the Shannon Joy Show so that you never miss a live show. Also, if you're watching right now and you haven't said hello on the live chat, I would love to hear from you. So go ahead and smash that thumbs up button. And Mama C 1996, I see you. I'm so worn out from all of this. Don't let them wear you out, Mama C 1996. That is the key. We have to stay cheerful, human, loving, kind. We have to honor our commitments, be honest and upright, love your children. Like, get out there and live. Never, ever let them steal your soul. Never let them steal your spirit. Don't let these horrible headlines impact your spirit or your soul. I know it's hard. I don't get to bury my head in the sand. Unfortunately, I have to face the news every day, as I tell you, like a fire hose in my face. And there's no retreating into my job or not paying attention to the news. Like, I got to take it full frontal every single day. And I so understand how you feel. It makes you not want to play ball. It makes you want to give up. It makes you feel despair, sometimes anxiety. And we've got to fight against that. So Mama C 1996, I hear you. Just say a prayer. Do your devotionals with God. I love to get into my Bible and pray and meditate and do my exercises and my stretches in the morning. I like to get outside and take care of my hydrangeas. We've got to face what is happening in our country because we're going to have to fight like hell for our liberty and our freedom for our kids. But we also have to live and stay human and not allow ourselves to be divided any longer by these horrible, horrible, terrible predators in Washington, D.C. Okay. All right. We're going to take a quick commercial break. Then we're going to come back. I'm going to read some of your comments from the live chat, and then we're going to close this show up fast because I've already gone late. 1 hour and 40 minutes. It's supposed to be a 90-minute show. And I also have another gig. I'm going to be on with Alex Stein. I have an interview with Alex Stein. You know, the real funny guy from COVID lockdowns, which should be really fun. So yeah, quick break, and then we're going to come back. I'll say goodbye to all of you right here on the Shannon Joy Show. When you are shopping at the Wellness Company, make sure that you use the JOY promo code. It's going to get you lots of goodies, free shipping, a percentage off of your order every single time, whether it's an emergency kit or ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine, whether it's a second opinion. So many people are benefiting from the telehealth that is provided at the Wellness Company. If you don't trust the opinion of your doctor, if you want a second opinion, if you don't trust a diagnosis, this is a way for you to go out, take control of your own health. You can get your own second opinion at the Wellness Company. The emergency medical kits are absolutely amazing. The contagion kit, every American needs an emergency medical kit in their home. It is an amazing source of peace of mind. You will have the life-saving prescriptions that you need, antibiotics, things like ivermectin and hydroxychloroquine. Sometimes in an emergency situation, certain medications are hard to get on purpose. You don't have to worry about that when you are prepared with that emergency kit. In fact, one of the listeners of the Shannon Joy Show mentioned that she purchased her emergency care kit about 8 months ago and has already used it 3 times. How amazing is that? Sometimes you just need access to that prescription. You don't have time to get to the doctor. It's such an easy process. You go to twc.health/joy. That's twc.health/joy. And you sign up. You have a consultation with one of the Wellness Company doctors. They work out all of your prescriptions, get them ready for you. You assemble the kit, and it is in your home on your doorstep about a week and a half later. It is such an easy process. And with the Joy promo code, you're going to get $60 off your emergency kit. It is worth every penny. People absolutely love it. And you'll get $60 off plus free shipping when you go to twc.health/joy. That's twc.health/joy, and absolutely use that JOY promo code because it's a huge discount. Welcome back, everyone, to the final segment of the Shannon Joy Show. We're going to end with some of your comments from the live chat here on Rumble. Can't wait to see you tomorrow. We have Tiffany Cianci joining us in the Joy virtual studio tomorrow to talk about the financial tsunami incoming, the pumps, the dumps, the rug pulls, the $1 trillion valuation, Elon Musk, the first trillionaire in the world, all of the things financial and all of the ways they're trying to screw us, the little guy, how to protect your retirement, how to protect your savings, and hopefully how to survive this incoming assault on our standard of living. Tiffany Cianci tomorrow on the SJ Show live. Also, we have Sasha Latapova later this week to talk about a couple different stories. Ron Johnson now with Bombshell, new revelations. The government knew that the shot was killing people very early on in the rollout of the COVID shots. We knew that, but now we have it in writing. Also, new information on these labs turning out these deadly viruses all over the country. They're still continuing to do that. I'm sure that Sasha Latapova is going to have a lot to say about that as well. So we're going to be doing a medical freedom update with Sasha a little bit later in the program or in the week. So thank you guys for all of your support. And yeah, Guitar Lily, excellent show, Shannon. Thank you, Guitar Lily. Appreciate you so much. Buskman, love you, Shannon. Thank you, Buskman. I really appreciate you. Bye, Shannon. Happy birthday. Says bye-bye. Appreciate you. And I saw there was a question on the live chat. How old are you, Shannon? Well, I'm turning 49 today. And I get, it's my last year before I'm officially over the hill. So I'm going to try to enjoy it. CJP Rumble, happy birthday to you. Appreciate that. Mod Trend, great to see you on the live chat. Zen Woman, 12:30, Shannon, please be on time because it wastes our precious time and is disrespectful to your audience when you're late. Zen, I'm so sorry. I try not to be late. There's just so much going on. I do the best I can. In my defense, today, when I set up the Shannon Joy Show, I set it up for 12:30 p.m. start time. So I was only about 7 minutes late, I think, for today's show. But Zen Woman, I hear you. I agree. It is disrespectful to your time. I will do better, and I'll try to be better in terms of starting on time. There are just so many different aspects to the show. And when I'm self-producing, it's just, oh my gosh, just so many things. Anyway, who else do we have? Trust the Squirrel Plan. Thank you so much. Appreciate you being with us. LT Oracle of Truth. Happy birthday, Shannon. Appreciate you. And you guys are great. Guitar Lily. Alex Stein was just on the Tinfoil Hat podcast. Good stuff. I'm excited for my interview with Alex Stein. I think it's going to be a lot of fun, and he better make me laugh. All right, guys, thank you so much for being with us today. Thumbs up right now. Share the Shannon Joy Show. Like it. Join the comments. Join the chats. This is how we grow organically. Appreciate all of you. Appreciate our sponsors. We'll be back to do it all again tomorrow on the Shannon Joy Show.